Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Blazer Percent Tournament.
Hello, everyone.
My name is Amalas, and I am joined with a Dented Razor this morning as your commentator.
Hello, everyone, at this nice early morning on a Saturday. Excited to see the race. You excited as well, Amy?
I am excited to see what all we have in store for our racers today.
Should be quite a surprise since this is definitely a little bit different than the older one that we usually do.
So, yes, if you are just joining us for the first time, this year is our 7th year hosting this tournament, and it is in for some changes this year.
It's already been 7 years. Wow, time flies.
Very much so. We are still having just a few little setup difficulties, so we will be getting started momentarily, but we did want to just give everybody kind of a brief overview of what's going to go on today, and then we will get started. So today we will have 3 matches. This is the first of those 3 matches. All of these runners have run 1 seed with these settings prior to this to get them into this tournament.
Yeah, it's quite an awakening if they haven't played this before, like this variant.
So we do have a standard randomizer, and you can get that link, and I will type it in chat momentarily. This is to our Discord where we have weekly seeds of just our standard randomizer. And but this year we decided to use the archipelago settings as it is still in beta. We may see a few little hiccups, but everything should run smoothly. We will address anything as we see it happen.
Yeah, it'll be usually a multi-world. They're going solo this time.
So normally our requirements to beat the game would be 6 stones, 6 world leaders, 2 grandmas, a king, a bunch of pathways, 3 red hot items, the soul blade, soul armor, and the phoenix. However, like we said, with these changes this year, we may see some change up.
Yeah, big twists coming up. Especially if you've been watching these past few years.
So the settings for this seed today is a randomized starting sword. So we will see what we get at that point. Random stones to get to the world of evil. However, to get to the final fight, Death Toll still needs those soul items, those grandmas, that king, and the path to get all of those. Outside of that, everything is free game.
Yeah, it's a lot more open than before because it is open world this time.
Very much so. Normally, it would be kind of linear, and you would need to get each one of those world leaders to move on to the next act. But like we said, Archipelago has made it open world, which has been one of the biggest requests that we've had throughout the years from the runners. And so we are just getting these last kind of additions added.
Yeah. And one thing just to note about that open world part of it, some actually scale the enemies to the places your level to where you're going. This one does not. So if you go to World 6 early, those definitely pack a punch.
Very much so. Also, that we will be using fast text. There is an Instatext item, but for you viewers, we wanted to slow this down just a little bit because these runners go through these text boxes fast all the time. Super fast. Even for the commentators, it gets hard sometimes to read everything.
It's even tough for the runners sometimes. When I played, I was like, whoa, what item did I just get?
We do have all of the runners ready to go. And part of that lead into the fast text is because you will see that all of our runners only have a single letter for their name. And that is because each text box that their name shows up in, if you have more than that, you are slowing your time down. And of course, these runners want to go fast.
Absolutely. Speed is definitely the name of the game here.
All right, it looks like we got everybody ready. Everything looks good that I can see on stream. How about for you, Densa? Does it all look good for you so we can start these racers?
Yep, I can see everything we need to, so ready when you are.
All right, the race room timer has started to count down. We should see, for those that have their timers connected, it all starting at this point. And they will all start running as soon as it hits 0.
Yeah, look, there we go. So right away they start with the Psycho Sword. Second sword in the game. It's gives you a little bit more power, but not much.
Also, the other thing with this right now is that currently these layers will be their vanilla enemies from the regular game. As I stated, we are still in development with this to try to get some things updated, but does it actually give speedrunners an advantage, Denid?
Well, I will say going through it, it definitely helps at the beginning for some of the strats, but then you get further on because you don't get the Soul Magician right away, so you rely a lot on magic in the speed run, but you get in here and you have to go to sword only for sometimes most of the game, so you really have to be resourceful and adapt to it.
All right, and we're seeing the layers being pretty well vanilla right now, giving NPCs. We did see that that Soul of Magician actually gave us 2 items to start off with, um, which is not normal. Normally, he gives us, like we said, that Soul of Magician, which allows us to use magic, and maybe 1 item. Um, but of course, with the changes, it was an NPC this time.
Yep, you got to embrace the chaos with this run. I did see right away they also got the mushroom shoes, so they should be all able to access Lanel once they get to Area 4. That's one thing to
Ve-
note is those gates in the levels are still there. It's just getting initially into the areas, those are open.
And yes, so normally the runners are used to opening a chest and getting an item, but like we said, those can also be NPCs at this point in time. So it does make a difference in some of the room strats that you're going to see throughout the day with with these runs. Because if, like, say they're in the middle of killing a set of enemies for a specific layer and they open up a chest and it becomes an NPC, it resets all of those monsters and they have to re-kill them.
Yeah, it definitely happened to me quite a few times. More than I'd like to admit, but it's definitely a paradigm shift. The first time you step on a lair and then you see you get an item instead, it's just such a huge mind-blowing experience. Especially when
And
you've been
so
playing this a few years.
and so there is our first red hot item with our red hot stick. And the other thing is that because this is still very close to the vanilla game outside of the small changes that we've kind of already explained, is that you're going to see more of the story than you would in, say, our regular randomizer runs that if you catch on the runners' channels or where we've hosted this tournament on other channels in the past. So lot more text than we're used to dealing with.
Yeah. And also the original, I guess it's kind of weird way original or whatever for their randomizer, it would give you more hints. And this one, like Spoiler Goat, will just tell you what they normally tell you in the vanilla game. So a little bit more trying to keep an eye out on things and a little more guessing you have to do, but still works out pretty smoothly.
And of course, then in the vanilla, where, an NPC gives you a hint as to like what they are actually holding or what you may need to complete an area, it may not be what they actually have, or they may just give you some story information that no longer is applying.
Yeah. So it's definitely, if you play this for the first time after playing the other randomizer so many times, definitely treat it as if you're playing it for the first time. Give yourself a little bit of patience because it's definitely an adjustment. I definitely see all three follow the strat of going right away to Area 1. Especially helps when you only have level 1 and just the Psycho Sword. So it's not a lot of attack on that one. So just really gotta try to build up a little bit before going further.
Good morning, E Ninja. Yeah, there are herbs over on this channel today. That is for sure. So I will just kind of note each one of our runners has a slightly different tracker that you can see. They all give pretty much the same information. Um, However, it's just kind of the app that they're using to run the tracker. All of them are using the layout for from Skarsnickus, but I do notice that a couple of them may be using like Pop Tracker instead of. Um,
Yeah, there's just so many different trackers out there you can use. Oh, it looked like we just found out from Solar Cell they need 4 stones to get into the world of evil.
all right, so this may be a little bit of a long one with those 4 stones being needed. However, it could be really fast if all of a sudden we run across all of those stones. Um, and Solar just going straight to Act 6. What?
One of the organizers, Queenie, saying hi. Hi as well. Nope, he's not cheating. He's just taking a risk that's really, really tough, especially when you're level 1 or 2 going straight to it, but it's very bold, that's for sure.
Unfortunately, Queenie, we all know the truth in the community, so let's not.
Fascinating, we're
So
seeing quite a divergence of paths here.
I was gonna say, yes, these runners definitely taking on a very unique pathing scenario. Axeman continuing just into Act 2, trying to get those levels. Um, work up, see if he can find like armor or better swords or even that soul of magician to get that magic. Valum is in Act 4 on the Snow Mountain. These enemies are very tough at this level, but he is going to get great reward with that because of how much experience these monsters give him. Solar, of course, in Act 6 doing our um, castle basement. It has quite a few items. It also has enemies that he cannot take on at this point in time. So we'll see how he handles that.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't have a stray spirit just start coming at him, and then all of a sudden he sees the vanishing reappearing, just take down his life so quickly.
Another really big change is that the NPCs that are also souls from the sky, like your main character, are item checks. It is not
Hmm.
a standard in our regular randomizer. So, a couple of new NPCs that the runners have to make sure that they check on, because if not, they could miss a very important item.
Absolutely, or even just a pathway forward. It's incredible just having items actually do releases because it makes going back to any of the towns to do those checks. Now you have to do it because it could possibly open up the path to the next place you have to go. So it's just such a huge shift compared to the others for the runners. And it's just wild seeing everyone take such a different path. And it's so easy for us to track, right?
So much fun for us. Um, but again, like we were saying, with Vellum going to Act 4 and getting that extra experience, Solar, of course, being in Act 6, gets increased experience. So he's gotten a few more levels. But I think they're all kind of realizing they may want to back up just a little bit and kind of do the progression.
Yeah, I even myself last night on a practice one, I got the spirit sword right away and then tried Area 6 and starting to slowly realize, wow, this was maybe not the best idea. But did see the Axeman also got a dancing grandma recently, so it feels like each person on their path is definitely finding something they truly need.
Which is always what we would like to see as the runner, however, not always what the randomizer gives us.
Yeah. Just wild seeing you get, ooh, King Megret, oh wait, I don't need them to get to Area 7. So it's just such a huge difference.
Very, very true. Um, of course, we are watching chat, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We either have other members of the community, they're in chat that will answer, or we, as the commentators, will answer as quickly as we notice your comments. But we are definitely here for you just as much as we are for the race of these runners.
Absolutely. And one thing you can see is that the Axeman cannot swing his sword yet. The other runners can because they're at least level 5. So that is a little bit more of advantage they have for being daring at that part. But yeah, you can see that they're quickly catching up in some places there.
And so, like Denid was just saying, each one of these swords does have a particular level that you need to reach to be able to swing it. However, um, it can still do damage just doing that poke strat that you were seeing a lot of the runners do initially.
Yeah, it's definitely gets your fingers a little sore, depending on which sword you get at the beginning, since you might get the recovery sword that you have to be level 22 to be able to swing, or 21, 22 around there, and you got quite a while to get there yet. So definitely
They,
makes you take some different
they,
strats.
they started with the Psycho Sword.
Hmm. Which does have the ability to stun enemies that are normally invulnerable. Normally, like metal enemies, or I'm not sure if it works on the spirit enemies. I haven't tried it with them.
And Z telling you in chat that it does stun those spirit monsters.
Wow, very good to know. It's definitely handy when you're low level trying to take on some of the higher stuff there.
And so, yes, today, like I said, we will be having 3 matches. Dented will actually be running in the match here just a little bit later.
Mhm.
Um, and from those 3 matches, whoever wins today will be moving on to our finals round tomorrow morning. So, 4 chances for you to check out Soul Blazer this weekend if you are interested.
Fantastic game. It rates Soul Blazer out of Soul Blazer, so you can't beat that.
The other thing you will kind of notice is that, there seems to be some like avoiding um, different things from these monsters and enemies on these layers. Each enemy, when it spawns, does have a period of invulnerability. So, like, you can't just immediately go in and take on all these monsters. Like, you do have to wait for them to get a little bit away from the layers or fully show up on the screen before they become able to take damage.
Yep. It's roughly a couple seconds each time.
Or like with those plant monsters that you're seeing on Solar and Valum's screens, if that little vine is out, they are invulnerable at that time. There are a couple other things that do kind of the same thing, but I can't remember them off the top of my head.
Yeah. We got Bob the Builder there.
Very critical NPC, normally in the randomizer to find. However, like we said, this is different. It's already open world. Unless we actually need King Magred's item, he's just another NPC.
Yeah, and also that little alley on the right side of the castle too holds a nice little check as well. So it's definitely where you kind of have to readjust your priorities as you play this.
Oh, Queenie, that is for you to do during the second match while you're commentating, is to sing for all of the viewers.
If I start singing, I think everyone will leave. Either that or be mad at me for destroying their ears, but you know.
Okay, so Axeman has moved on to the Fire Shrine, which is the second part of Act 2. You start to see that this game does have some other very similar like enemy resources from other games of the time, and that is because of they were made by the same people.
Yep, quintet. You hear that grunt when you take a damage? Oh, Axeman just got Phoenix. That grunt that you take damage from, that's the same grunt that you'd hear in ActRaiser, which is actually the composer of the music in that one, Yuzo Koshiro. So they definitely reuse assets, and that's fine. Why reinvent the wheel?
And these little ghost heads that you kind of see on the screen, those are reused in Illusion of Gaia.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wow.
Axeman finding his spirit sword as well here in our little maze.
If some people were observant, they might have noticed that the chest that was there was moved up a little bit on this floor because it could possibly hold something that you need. So the developer of this Tranquilite, he actually moved it up a little bit further so you could still, when you clear the layer to open up the stairway, it doesn't block that chest that was there.
Yes, and in our regular randomizer, that chest will always be something not important to your run. So, like Dented said, with AP, it has been made a possible important check. You see Axeman trying to clear multiple layers at the same time, and we have our Z sword. It's a great place to get that.
What an area too. Wow, that's just wild. So you can take on any enemy except some of those later on that require the Soul Blade or early on. And so a lot of people who've played this know that if you have the Soul Blade, you can take on those little spikes coming up floor earlier in the Water Shrine to get a huge boost of experience very fast.
Very, very true. along with the AP settings, it has made things like the Soul Blade, the Mermaid tier, Ice Armor, all a lot more in logic needs versus our standard randomizer where they have kind of been excluded.
Yeah, kind of used to what a lot of others are kind of like, oh yeah, we could just walk across the fire. Well, some people may not be considering that part of it because they played it more casually. So, on
Okay.
X-Men also getting a nice experience boost from the Scorpions since he can defeat them now with the Zantetsu sword.
Solar finding his first stone there on King Magrid since he's deciding to check that early.
Not a bad idea at all.
Also,
Especially important now to do that.
also see him talking to one of those soul NPCs that we were discussing that are normally not important. Um, Luckily, it did not benefit him. He just kind of got a tulip.
Yeah. If anyone's watching X-Men, you'll see that he did not grab that chest right away that was close to those other scorpions below. And as we discussed, it could possibly have in there a release that would reset all those other scorpions. So very wise move on his part.
I know that is one of the few things I am still trying to remind myself when I'm playing these settings to not do, and I do it every time.
I've done that a few as well.
So, Solar back again in Act 6, trying to take on these high level monsters and having a rough time of it.
Very daring move for sure. But you can see right away the rewards. Those level ups really happen quickly when you're down there. But really got to be careful with those enemies. They do a lot of damage at that point in the game.
Especially those little fireballs that you see showing up on the screen. Like, those will do like 4 damage in like no time. And it's crazy. Valen finding our little angel fish that is the soul there in Act 3, which tells you that they have an ability to help you out in part of that zone.
Mm-hmm. That is one really nice part about this too, is that text still being there helps you know that that's an NPC you should really talk to at that point. Especially when you have a certain door that you have to talk to in Area 5. So
Very, very true. Solar continuing on. Luckily, finding a monster that doesn't really do him any damage because it's very easy to do damage to it. However, you see him dancing around those fireball shots that are going around the room.
yeah, those bodybuilders can be tough if they hit you at this point. And one thing to note too, with you getting a lot more releases out of those chests, actually finding herbs is a little bit harder than before. I think when the times I've played this, I've been at times being like, "Where's an herb? I need an herb."
Okay, and other just quick thing to note, like every time you see one of these runners take a death, they do lose all of the gems that they collect that allow them to use magic once they find that solo magician. Right now, not such a big deal since we're still missing that soul, but if you had it, it is definitely like your key thing that you use in a normal speed run and randomizer setting. Solar over in his favorite area.
So other tests, such great music there.
A lot of the zones in this game have amazing music. Not exactly sure if we're capturing anybody specific's music right this second, So you just
And
noticed there that Solar stepped on one of the layers and it did give him XP. That shows up a lot more in this version of the rando, um, and can be a huge boon in like moving through the zones since the monsters are kind of set and there's like a specific amount of XP that each one of these acts gives you normally, unless you just take on your environmental monsters over and over again.
And the range of this can be anywhere from 1 to 10,000, if I recall correctly. So at this point in the game, getting that huge boost is definitely helpful and kind of saves you some time in terms of the grind later on that you need to do.
Solar picking up that Soul of Shield, and that is normally what you get from that angelfish that we were talking about there in Act 3. So, again, everything is randomized at this point.
It's fascinating because then he actually gets to use it in Durian, area in spot in Area 3 later on that has a lot of falling, flaming rocks, and that soul will protect him. So, not a bad find there as well.
Solar also there finding our mermaid instructor who teaches 3 other mermaids how to dance. Um, Very cute, like little incentive thing for marathons or in our bingo.
Sorry, they do not do the Macarena. I know people are hoping, but sorry, they do not.
Also saw our first mermaid statue there on Solar's screen. That is to an area known as Rockbird. We have also made a quality of life change there. Normally that statue would block the path and make a lot of Act 3 not available, but like I said, we quality of life, we shifted it a little bit. Now we have a lot more of Act 3 available to the logic.
Yeah, a lot more paths you can take. I remember so many times before you get the ghost ship and Durian, and then you weren't able to get to them because you didn't have Rockbird. But now they moved that, and you're able to get past it. That is a feature also in the other one, but I'm glad that it also got to here as well. Got Axeman of the Light Shrine. He has the Spirit Sword to be able to defeat the floating enemies around, which will actually give him some good experience. They give about 1,100 experience each, which is very valuable at this point, him being at level 10. So, be some good boosts for him.
Solar there taking a purposeful death to get himself out of South Urta quickly. As you saw, the Axeman doing speedrun strats, taking on a whole bunch of the monsters there in the Light Shrine all at one time. GG's to him for being able to do that. It would give me huge anxiety to do that.
One thing that definitely helps at that point is that normally, if it was the any percent run on this, probably be around a lot lower level, and the damage would be a lot more critical, and we'd have light arrows that could take them all out. But here, you have to pretty much soak the damage while you just take out those enemies. And it does save time, but as you're saying, it definitely presents some risk and tension there.
Okay, you saw Vellum there just handling the 4 chests there on Soul Mountain. As you saw, quite a few of them had NPCs, and those snowballs kept becoming a problem. And so those snowballs are the environmental enemies there. And like we said, for each NPC layer that gets released, those get reset.
Yeah. And if they had the Soul Blade, they'd be able to actually defeat those snowballs. But at this point, they have to do the vanilla strat of just getting those big and then having them run into something to defeat them, or have them block themselves so they can't move anymore towards you.
I don't think I ever knew that they could actually go out there on the ice after Blazer, but um, that was a little interesting to watch.
Yeah, depending on your life total, it really can be a tense moment. You're like, oh wait, nope, stay away. I will say one
Okay.
thing about doing this any percent so much, you got to be careful to make sure you hit every single check you can or every little part because with this randomizer, it feels sometimes it's a big jumbled maze that goes into a funnel, and that one little release can be blocking you for the rest of the game.
For sure. And so Axeman, they're continuing on through the light shrine, doing this maze in the dark. It is something that in the normal randomizer, not the AP, that we've just become accustomed to doing. So it's going to look real easy for him to get through this. Um, Again, it's just a big square. Normally, you have your Soul of Magician to be able to kind of help direct yourself,
Hmm.
but again, we don't have it now. So,
Yeah, normally if you're walking into a wall with that ball of light, it would actually move past you, so you'd know you're running into a wall. But this time, it's got to do a little bit more guesswork, especially when you don't have anything yet. One thing to note is if you get any of the souls, it doesn't have to be the soul magician. You'll still get that ball of light around you.
correct. That is why you see it there on Solar Cell's stream, because he does have that Soul of Shield. Um, Vellum going up to Lano. Normally, this area is avoided by runners very much because it does have very little in the way of NPCs and item checks. However, will it be a big play for it? We'll have to
Also,
wait and see.
yeah, also the fact that none of them have magic yet. And those sorcerers you saw Valum just fight, if you get close to them, they spin around, and then you have to wait until they reappear to defeat them. And that can add about 5 seconds each time, so it definitely is advantageous if you have the magic. But with this AP part, generally you're going to have to just go in there and get it done.
Doing a great job taking on those bats that are flying around him in a circle. Then, did you be able to tell the viewers a little bit easier, like, is there a specific direction in swinging the sword that is better than others?
Well, it all comes down to the arc of the swing. If it's closer to the beginning of that swing, then you're going to do one hit. But if it's closer to the second half of the swing, then you're actually going to do two hits. So generally, you want to it actually has a little bit more reach than the other parts. So the end of your sword swing is very powerful on this one. And playing casually, you might just stumble upon it yourself, just seeing that you're taking enemies out more on that part of it.
Definitely very interesting right now watching the trackers, knowing that, Solar and Vellum have, um, had access to the same areas that Axeman has had, but have chosen different pathings. And so they're still missing critical items. It's very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. You see Axeman having the Red Hot Mirror and the Phoenix, which neither of the other two runners have picked up yet since they haven't gone quite all the way through some of the other parts that Axeman has went through getting into all of Act 2.
And so this is one of the great things about the open world setting is that, the runners now do have that option to kind of go and be more daring or, than they normally would casually
Whoa!
or
Found Soul Magician.
so. Valen finding that soul magician now has the ability to use his magics that he's found. We'll see how much it helps speed up the seed, I guess.
Yeah, and he even has light arrow, which is highly regarded by the other runners as well, since it does such great crowd control when you have other enemies. The range is really good, and yeah, it's man, does it look cool. Such a great spell. But so surprising that it's in Lanel, where you're hoping you would get magic, but you have to go there to get it. So what a what a cheeky game for sure.
Z, you know how it is. The rando be rando, and every now and again you will find everything in vanilla or French vanilla. In this case, it is a French vanilla. Normally, he has. And I will apologize, everybody. It is allergy season where I'm at, so I am trying my best not to have that bother me too much. But of course, bodies be bodies too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the normal round of colds is going around my kiddo's school, so it's of course going around the household. So, uh, one thing
All
to note
right.
about the AP is if you do explore it yourself, note there's a lot of different options on it. So there's a lot of different ways you can customize it to be kind of the run you want to try out and test. But um, definitely a neat one to see. And if you're wanting more information on it too, you can check out the multi-world channel of the Randomizer Discord, Rando Blazer Discord.
So, as you can see, Axeman having just a little bit easier time taking on that stuff in Act 6 since he has gotten to level 16 where he can swing the Z sword. However, he has opted for the critical sword.
Yeah, and that one, every 16th frame, it'll actually defeat the enemy instantly that you're fighting. However, unless you're doing a Taz on it, it's definitely a not a reliable way, but it definitely helps if you're fighting some enemies that are much more powerful than you at that time. A fascinating option just to take note of on this, there's also a semi-progressive stat on that one where the weapons and armor would scale with the quantity that you had. So, but you could swing any sword right away. So if that's an option you want to try as well to play with to get some meat challenge, you can certainly do that also. But on this case, everything has the vanilla stats, including the level requirement. So if you get that larger sword, it will do much more damage, but you got to be a higher level to swing it, as we discussed earlier on.
So, yes, like Dana was just saying, with that progressive, whether it's sword or armor, it has kind of revitalized the need to find those other armors and swords, to progress your game along. Unlike some of it where it's just like, oh, we just need the bubble armor because that gives us the access to Act 3, and we need the soul armor because of the world of evil. But again, every armor has its own little specialty, regardless of rando that you're playing, whether it's our traditional or the AP. And so knowing those can be beneficial as well.
Yeah, for instance, the Mystic Armor, which probably not a lot of people use, it actually gives you more iframes when you take damage, so that could be pretty useful for you later on. Or the Magic Armor, of course, that has the gem requirements for spells. A lot of different applications you can do with those that you normally discard or not use since you find a better armor. But in that case, for somebody progressive, makes everything equally useful. Wow, the Holy Door just gave Axeman an herb. Of course. The door be the door.
At least it stayed holy.
Absolutely. Looks like Solar is getting close to being able to get his Magician Soul as well, getting down the icy hill. and getting close to that lair that Valman got recently to be able to cast spells as well. So
We see Axeman there in the lab basement. This one also has a really good soundtrack. Um, a lot of people like it. It's very upbeat and kind of fast paced, um, in which you definitely need to make sure that you have the ability to use the Zentetsu sword, as quite a few of these monsters are solely metal, and that's the only way to damage them.
and you might be presented with a case where you have to defeat the enemies that are not metal there. And you have to be very careful because you do not want to get one of those copters flying at you and quickly depleting your life or however else. So it's quite a risk that you can do getting there early to do that stuff, but sometimes you just need to because the seed be the seed at times.
And just like it would be in the vanilla game, um, there are certain layers here in that area that you can take on without the Z sword, and you just have to know which ones those are, um, to be able to move forward to normally get your progression.
Hmm. If the layer that Axeman stepped on would normally be the one to get you to the Z sword, but this case it was a mole. One thing to note too with those metal enemies or spirit enemies, your magic will not work on them. Though Phoenix does break that rule and lets you do that, but in order to use Phoenix, you need to swing the Z or swing the Soul Blade, have the Soul Armor equipped, and have Phoenix. So Axeman cannot use Phoenix yet. Still has quite a bit to go.
Very true. And while Axeman is one of our more seasoned speedrunners and normal, high end runner of the rando, as you can see with these settings, he is taking some different choices and is now, at a spot where he's the only one that cannot use the magic at this point. So we'll see if that plays to the other runner's favor, or if it ends up leading to the hide and seek game that we are all so fond of.
Yeah, and one part to note too, even if you can swing this Soul Blade, have the Soul Armor, and Phoenix, you need to have the Soul Magician to be able to even cast Phoenix. So he will have to at some point get back to Lenal and to that icy hill to be able to get what he needs there to complete the game. His death toll is very fussy. He wants to make sure that you use that Phoenix.
Well, when that's the only way you can do damage to him, you kind of want it.
Very particular villain there for sure.
And so, another keynote while we're talking about the death toll fight, and we will readdress it when we actually get there. Um, the standard randomizer, we actually found a way to patch in a faster ROM. So, like, that zone in the vanilla game is very, very laggy. If you let too much pop up on the screen at one time, our standard randomizer has fixed that. So, some of the strats you may see here across the course of the day would not be how you would normally handle it doing like our weekly seeds or generating seeds of your own on the channel.
Yeah, more leg reduction on that part, but definitely that fast ROM hack by Condowantu definitely helps. And just an interesting note, in Europe, in the German and French versions, they actually use the fast ROM chip in that game. So if you're playing that version and fighting Death Toll, there's no lag at all. Same with fighting the winged demon at that point in the game as well. So really fun when you play that weekly seed. We're hoping someday that the weekly seed and that randomizer and the archipelago get together and combine and get all these happy stuff that we enjoy all together there.
Very, very true. I know that has been, again, one of those big things that our runners long term have been just asking for, is to get that variety. And this is our first chance at it. So please feel free. Let us know what you think in the Discord, whether you like it, dislike it. We'll take the criticism if you know, and hopefully move on to give you guys a better experience. Vellum taking on that winged demon that Dented was just talking about.
Going a little bit different of a strat there. Tough part with that boss is every time it swoops like that, it basically costs you 4 seconds. And ideally, you get up to the point where it's doing that horizontal spot there, and you can kind of get with your sword to defeat it quickly. But it's all about getting it to the ideal position.
All the RNG.
Oh, yeah. Thankfully, in the other randomizer, normally you don't need to fight the winged demon, but this one, generally, it's not a bad idea to do it.
Axeman getting close to being done there with the basement, but still quite a little bit to take on.
It looks like Valum Redirected is going to Area 3 instead. Going right through Southerta to see what is you'll be able to find there.
And Solar also going to go do that winged demon play. Axeman finding our platinum card there. Normally not something that we see a lot of in the standard randomizer. However, like we said, this could be a need.
Yeah, it's always a tough decision when you get a new path opened up versus having all those other paths open. Do you go for that new one right away, or do you just go for that other stuff and clean that up first? So definitely some tough decisions to make as you run this.
All right, Axeman going back to Act 3 as well. Kind of see maybe him do some cleanup or catch up maybe.
Ooh, solar cells getting tight on life.
You see
Well,
him. You see him there trying to like maybe get the RNG to do what he wants, but it doesn't look like it really helps one way or another to do that move.
yeah, and thankfully with the good, he had an herb there. That definitely helps. Those fireballs have so many sprites each time it fires out that sometimes it doesn't even happen because sprite limits. So it's definitely a fascinating boss to fight because of that. A little bit of, ooh, do I kind of keep moving forward or do I take the risk of standing here and possibly take too much damage? But
And their reward being another stone, getting them a little bit closer to being able to go to the world of evil and seeing if that is their play.
mm-hmm. The Axeman himself is now to Southerta, so taking that on there. Looks like Solar Cell is doing a little bit of cleanup, and now he's going for the Fire Shrine, which, as we saw before, is going to bring some great surprises for him.
And so this randomizer, it is always very hard to kind of tell who is in the lead and who is going to finish first. Even here in the AP, it is still anybody's game at any point in time. So while the trackers show some things and, you know, may be fairly accurate, it's always a guessing game.
Yeah, and if someone could get down to one item that you need, and you could check through 3 different dungeons that you haven't looked through before and get nothing. So while someone else could just find it right away, and then they got a huge jump on that part of it. But it's just so many different parallel tracks of advancement here that it's really tough to keep track of them all sometimes. But they're all doing a great job so far.
SO5Z there in chat, kind of giving a hint at that, just like A Link to the Past, we do have a check that we affectionately call the pedestal. That check is unlocked by a deer out on an island that brings us a crystal that requires those 8 emblems that you see in the lower right of the tracker. Um,
Mhm.
whether that's needed or not, again, still have to wait and see.
I remember one of the seeds I ran with the archipelago. It was the sole magician held by that. I was like, really?
Oh, that would truly be our ped seed then.
It's like, wow, I felt like I got the ultimate troll here.
Okay, as you see, the llama sitting there trying to see exactly if he's got anything left to check in the zone. It does get a little bit hard at times to remember everything that is open. So again, we're all going through a little bit of growing pains right now.
Yeah, if anyone is like in the same room as me or watching me, they might hear me talking to myself quite a bit. I almost have to say what I get each time, just kind of a mental reminder for myself, just to make sure that I have an idea of where everything is. It's a lot to keep track of, especially when in town. It's not just items that you can get, but also releases. So definitely add some tension to making sure you don't miss anything. I will say, if anyone wants to get into trying this, there is a weekly seed that you might have heard me mention a little bit before. It is an asynchronous race as part of the Rando Blazer, so you can take part in that, give it a try, see how you do with it. You don't have to put in the results if you want, but if you want, the site does track it if you want to see a little bit of a historical trend to see if you're how you're improving, whatnot. Because a lot of this, it's more of just everyone having a good time and just seeing how well they do against their last time.
Very, very true. And of course, it also does give you like a leaderboard so you can see where you're stacking up against other runners, like the ones that you're seeing. And yes, sometimes your times may be really close to theirs, and sometimes your time may be very, very off from theirs. But we are all here to help encourage and, of course, as we've stated, there are different trackers out there that you can use. Some of them do have maps. However, I cannot attest to how accurate those maps would be. Um, so, but of course, there are training aids if needed.
Yep, we're always happy to answer questions and help more people get into this community. It's such a fun randomizer to get into. It was probably the first one I ever did for myself. Started in, I think, gotta be 2019 or so. And after 3 years of it, got motivated to try the any percent speed run, and that went okay. So, I mean, it's just lots of different parts from it. It's just a lot of fun and a lot of people that just want to help get more people into this fun community. So, this one was the first time you did this one, Amy.
Let's see. First time I did this one, 2019, 2020.
Wow.
So I know I've been here since or percent 3. So
I think around the same time for myself as well. Uh, there's a lot of fun, different runners on this one, and the randomizer itself just having a fun history too, with it being worked on by Orphis, Hulk, and Axeman lately. But it's just so neat to see it change and evolve with everyone's feedback and just everyone having a great time with it.
and then, of course, as we've mentioned, AP being kind of developed by Tranquilite. And thank you, Queen Anne, for your comment in chat. However, please let Lisa have her goat. I don't need it.
Especially since now it doesn't have anything to tell you. So, wait, no, that's Turbo the goat. I forgot.
Yes, yes, that is Turbo the Goat, which of course, like we said, reuse of names and sprites across the quintet games.
And I have not tried Grand Stream Saga on PlayStation, which is, if I recall, the last game Quintet developed. So couldn't tell you if that has Turbo as well in there. But maybe someone in the chat knows.
And there we see the llama showing us exactly why the others have kind of avoided it in resetting those metal scorpions by opening that chest and it being an NPC release.
Yep, and I mean, even in town sometimes I've made that mistake where going towards a chest and, or I get the mole in area 2 and, oh, I'll talk to this other person because that mole can just follow me in the meantime. Nope, that person had a had a release, so I have to do that again. But we're all learning together on this one.
Okay, and Axeman there in Act 4 doing the mountain checks. We'll see exactly how far he goes, doing a great job with those snowballs.
Yeah, and it looks like in terms of stones, we have Solar Cell with 3, Vahlemon has 2, and Axeman has 1. But Axeman does have advantage on the having the red hot mirror right away. But looks like no one quite yet has the Soul Blade or Soul Armor, so that's still up for grabs. And I don't think anyone has both Oh, does Solar have both Dancing Grandmas? I think he does.
No, so no,
Oh.
Solar only has the one.
Oh.
Yeah, that gray background of his tracker definitely makes some of the NPCs pop a little bit more. And so it looked like it was highlighted, but it's not.
Yeah, my color blindness does not help me today. But all good stuff. Wow, those snowballs really like Axeman there. What a good guy.
He's trying so hard to get them to bump against a wall, but they just wanted to avoid it.
Yeah. I don't think we've seen anyone yet go into any of the underwater areas so far. I know the bubble armor is out there, but I haven't seen anyone go to Rockberg yet. So it'll be fascinating to see someone do that and give us some more information.
Very true. Like I said, these runners have all taken very different paths. So right now, just kind of seeing who finds that new piece of progression for us in regards to where to go, what to do.
Yeah. And it really comes down to at some point just taking a step back and just, okay, what can I clear at this point? What I need to go through all the towns, see what I missed. I couldn't tell you the times where lately I've been like, oh, I'm stuck. Where do I go? Oh yeah, there's this one shrine in the or one layer in the water shrine I should have stepped on. So there's just a lot of times where you can get just bottlenecked by one layer or one item that you truly need. They are all keeping forward, keeping very low downtime, and haven't seen anyone outright pause or go back yet. So they're all still quite into the game. It's just anyone's race still. One thing to
Very,
note
very.
about the archipelago, if anyone hasn't tried it, it is multi-world. So if you want to try a cooperative experience for Soul Blazer Randomizer, that's a great way to do it.
And we are still in the process of creating kind of a monthly multi-world with Soul Blazer seeds that the whole community kind of chimes in on. So again, more people joining, we are always welcome to kind of talk and walk you through if, that's what you need. Again, just join us over at the Discord.
The more the merrier.
So, Axeman, like we said earlier with Solar and Vellum, showing us kind of why we want magic up there on Lay Knoll in the top of the mountain. Those magicians kind of spinning and teleporting and everything like that. There are two variations of that monster, one with the purple, one with red. They both do slightly different things, but you still want to try to take care of those at a distance versus getting too close.
Yeah, especially if you have with some of those spots, um, they can really do damage if you don't have magic, and also the layer that Axeman is above. When he steps on that, they'll release a layer below him, and if he had magic, he'd be able to take that one out from a distance. However, that one ironically has the Soul Magician form, so it's not good to have that convenience for himself.
Everybody just continuing to kind of do cleanup of the stuff that they've had access to, that we've seen other runners do. So, um,
Yep,
and,
and
and
Solar Cell just got the Red Hot Mirror too, so trying to think what other areas have they not explored. Oh, I don't think we've seen anyone go to more of Area 1 yet. I don't think anyone's crossed the bridge to go to the painting or go to the second half of the underground castle.
I was going to say, I'm not sure that we've found either the watermill keeper or even the bridge guard at this point.
True. It's so frustrating at one point if you have a lot of checks on that right side of that map, but you just don't have that bridge guard to get to them.
Very, very true. And that goes with any of our zones. Sometimes, you'll get a lot of the checks available across there and just won't be able to access them because of one NPC. Act 4 is very notorious for that, as it is the zone that probably needs the most NPCs to get through it in the normal based rando. It's like a total of 6 NPCs, I think.
Yeah. Somewhere that sounds about reasonable there. And also, it feels like it's the most gated by items as well. You need the mushroom shoes to get to Lanel, but also to get to Lake Loon, the third part of it, you need to have the Lucky Blade, which is also a great sword to have since it increases your gem drops. So, definitely a lot of digging literally with those NPCs to get to where you need to, but also just you got to have the right items or else you're not going to be able to.
So we see Solar there in the dark room, having a little bit of trouble working his way around, even with that Soul of Magician light ball to kind of help guide him. Not an uncommon thing, especially for newer runners still kind of learning that room, um, but it happens.
Yeah, and if you're doing the weekly seed and you're playing this, it's all right to go ahead and get that if you need to. It's still there in the normal place to help you kind of get your bearings down in terms of where to go and whatnot. I know myself sometimes it's just doing little counts to myself when I get to certain points, or even just using where the enemies are on screen just to know where I am positionally. But it helps when you've played it too many times like me. So, but don't worry, just go ahead and grab that soul light. It's there to help you. I think still, if I get that on the way to that, that part of the game, I'm like, Okay, good. I don't have to do all that weird stuff. It looks like Axeman's going to the castle to finish up his checks there. Oh, and he's going to do left tower, maybe. Oh, he's going to the basement first.
Axeman definitely going to have a easier time here with the basement now that he has the ability to use magic along with having that spirit sword.
Oh, yeah. Being able to swing that sword is definitely a time save at this point. So he's going to just blast through that part. It looks like Solar Cell is going to be doing the same soon, too.
I know Solar is very happy to be able to go back there now and do those things where he was trying to do them so much earlier with a little bit of struggle.
Yeah. He's taking his revenge for all the enemies that picked on him before. And that lair in particular that he's fighting there, that lair is what you need to get further into the dungeon. And if you don't have the spirit sword, that's where you're locked.
As you see him also kind of standing back away from that layer a little bit. And if you can visually, like, kind of walk that layer up, you can kind of see he was standing on a corner, which also makes it a little bit easier for those monsters not to like disappear or get into locations where it causes damage.
Oh, yeah. If you're standing on, not depending on where you're standing, it could be going back and forth across you, going around you, or just reappearing, disappearing right on top of you, doing lots of damage before you know it. But one thing to note is they are not actually teleporting. They are still moving around. It's just they're invisible, so they can't damage you, but you can't damage them. So it's kind of a rough time that you hope the RNG lets them reappear again to defeat them. Oh, I think I noticed someone in the chat said that he was his timer went away. I think we just are it rolled over, so he's probably at an hour and 5 minutes and stuff there. So
Okay, and so Queen Anne bringing up a big point. Axeman is level 20, and the Spirit Sword swings at 19.
mhm. And also, if you see anyone get the Soul Blade, you might see him if they get it early on. Oh, he's got the red hot ball. If they get Soul Blade early on, you'll see him grind and set to level 19 rather than to 24. And usually with that strat, you're going to get the rest of experience you need throughout the run, but you have enough experience to swing the Spirit Sword if you absolutely needed to. So, the thing with the Soul Blade, it damages everything. So,
And just to bring up a point, our like very top runners, speed runners, they have learned strats where they can actually kind of make their swords do things that they normally wouldn't be programmed to do. It takes a lot of coordination. I would not be one to explain that completely. So, Jensen, I will leave that to you if you would like to try to explain that to the viewers.
sure. There's the sword switch glitch, which if you swing a sword, and at the moment that the arc is still out there, you go to menu and switch to a different sword, you'll swing that sword instead. It does not transfer the attack power, but it does transfer over the qualities of that blade. So if you had the way it'd be used in that basement, you'd be swinging like the Zantetsu sword or something like that and switch to the spirit sword in order to it would you come out of the menu, it would repeat that swing at that spirit instead. And if you went back into the menu and did it again with the right timing, you'd swing again. But it can eat away time a little bit as well. It's kind of a compromise since when you're in menu, the iframes of enemies do not uh, go down at all. So it's like you're stopping time at that point. So something to be mindful of. But still a neat glitch to use when you have the opportunity. Very useful in the low percent strat where you can't take any damage or very little damage. So something to be aware of. And the other part too is you might see some of the runners, if an enemy is far away, like 2 tiles away, they're able to swing and hit him with the point of the sword. And the sword in this game has such a funky hitbox and arc range that it has that it's very useful if you can swing that sword. And also you can see Axeman there, the enemy's slightly stunned when you hit him with that. So if you're only able to poke the enemies, it does leave you in a more dangerous position as well, since you're not able to stop their position. They're going to keep coming at you. So really neat stuff to find in this game.
So, for those unfamiliar, Queen Anne is actually the coordinator of this tournament, and she is the one that rolled all of these seeds. However, I did make sure that they were all completable. So, my fault, ma'am, I think it would be yours.
uh, Very true. And I can definitely attest to the times I've been in this tournament. Both Queen Anne B and Emulus really get out a lot of great seeds out there each time. Definitely feels like a fun challenge that definitely feels like it's balanced, doesn't feel like it's really going to make you go all hundo blazer, as some people call it, getting every single thing to pass. It still feels like, you have a chance to get a little bit faster than normal, but it's still not absolute. And chat, blame Solar. Well, you can also blame Solar, but as always, blame Everhate as well. Sure to do that.
And
Oh, and
again,
this.
for everybody that's in chat, whether you're a runner today, a commentator later today, we do greatly appreciate you being here watching and supporting the community along with all of those first-time viewers. We really appreciate that Final Fantasy Randomizer has hosted us this year and Solar finding his bubble armor. Very important to be able to do anything else there in Act 3 under the water.
It looks like plenty of people have found the Palace Mermaid, or the one that allows you to get down into the water, since if you don't release that one, you won't have the staircase to get into the seabed. So, very crucial there.
Oh, and I am not trying to say that, Queenie.
Solar sells seashells by the sea. Oh, okay, that took a lot of focus.
And she forgot the shore part of that, so it saved you a little bit.
Oh, she sure did. Oh, sorry, bad dad joke there.
I was about to say, Solar not gonna go back and check that crystal.
One thing to note about those spinning spiky balls that he's trying to navigate around, those enemies you cannot defeat, unfortunately, with Soul Blade. They are just pure damage. That's it. They are there to really harm you, and in the any percent run, they are definitely the bane if they hit you. It looks like he's going for that layer down below, which is a good shortcut to have, and also a good, if you're getting into the any percent, it's definitely a valuable spot for safety if you needed it. And soon looks like all three have faced the Winged Demon, though I'm not sure if Vahlemon has defeated the Winged Demon yet. But
Okay, so Queen Anne asking for a little bit of information about our runners. Okay, so the Axeman is a well-known rando runner of many different randos, along with programmer for, I believe, the TaskBot. Um,
Yep.
he has won this tournament in the past, if I remember correctly. As I've stated, he is one of our higher tier runners, but he is very, very helpful for anybody learning.
Yep. He's definitely been around the scene a long, long time. I was checking the Taz forums on Soul Blazer around 2005, and he was in there chiming his input on there too. So very, very friendly person. Very good to work with, and also very talented runner.
solarcell007, he is a longtime member of the community. However, he normally only makes appearances with Soul Blazer right here for the tournament, especially since him and Miss Queen Anne B um, have gotten together. She kind of forces him into it each year, so then it be what it be.
Yep.
I do know that he speed runs some other games, has had world records in the past. I can't remember any that he has currently.
I think some of them I saw that he had. I'm not sure if he has still the world record on Secret of Evermore, but I know he was working on it quite a bit, and also he's had some experience with Illusion of Gaia very strongly.
And then Bellum is, like I said earlier in the stream, he is kind of a newer name to my knowledge. I do know that he is French Canadian. And for just general knowledge, he may be the dark horse this year. Not giving away any specific times that were put out on our pre qualification seed, but there has definitely been some shakeup in our runners this year.
Yeah, it's always fun to see new faces getting into this because it's just fresh perspectives, and also you don't quite know the well of talent that they have yet, and how far they've gotten down into this, and perhaps bringing new strats we haven't seen yet. So really fun to see all three of them here going for this. And wow, all three are in either Leo's basement or the lab. Very popular place.
So, yeah, seeing some of the runners there in the power plant, which is one of the later parts of Act 5.
And a fun boss here, Tyndall. Normally you can do a little manipulation. You can see Axeman just staying on the column right to the left of it. And if you stay there, the boss will not go to the left or right to one of those teleporters. But you still have to navigate those fireballs that it likes to throw generously towards Blazer. So, and good fight there.
That fight, if you're just learning it, can be very intimidating, especially if Tyndall does start teleporting around the zone. Those yellow flowers are where he teleports in at. He goes left and right across the screen. A lot of time just trying to like locate where he's at.
Yeah, absolutely. Just remembering the times I casually played this, it was definitely a fight where I was like, just stay in place, let me hit you. A lot of tension there. Thankfully, if you're playing this casually, your armor is probably a lot better, and you're more than likely going to have an herb there.
Axeman taking, or excuse me, Solar there taking on those little racy mice. Those particular monsters have a setting when they spawn. If there is a wall to their left, I believe it is, they will just go around the edge of the room.
Mm. Yes. Oh, man. So much different stuff happening here. It's all great things there. And looks like Solar Cell, he's getting through that second part of the basement, taking on those scary bulldozers. If anyone's around the any percent or low percent, probably look at those. Just kind of wince a little bit because we all know how much damage they can do when you have no armor. Just oh.
Solar, they're taking on probably the most um, run crushing layer in the speed run because of those little racing mice. If those get away from you, they take a long time to come back.
Yeah, thankfully there's a layer nearby that you can step on if you need to, but it does refresh that one back to start, but it is actually faster than waiting for that mouse to get all the way around the top and back. So it's one of the only enemies in the game that moves when you're off screen.
Okay, and we see the Axeman going back and starting to show us some more of Act 3 that has become open as they've all gone around. He is currently on his way to the area known as Bluster. It does have one particular layer that, if we didn't have the Z Sword or the Soul Blade, they would end up having to come back for it later.
Yeah, or the Thundering, which can be used to defeat those, but it's a very, very niche item. And it's just, you gotta have it, or else one of those three, you're not gonna be able to get through all this part and you'll have to come back later.
This area does also tend to be kind of the make or break in the standard rando because it will normally have at least one very critical item or NPC. Axeman finding our fourth stone there in Luster.
Yeah, and World of Evil is not a bad place to go to early on. Compared to the normal rando, the World of Evil can have releases in there. The normal one, if you go there, it'll have items, but most of the time it's going to be, well, it'll have some items that you'll need there possibly, but it doesn't have as much utility as it does here, where it could have maybe the release that you've been waiting for so long. But funny enough, it can also have stones, which at that point you really don't need anymore. The game's just being a troll.
Very, very true. That is one of the changes with the archipelago is that, like we said, there are now NPC releases there, and because of the random stone requirement, stones could be there.
Checking on the emblem race, it looks like everyone, well, looks like Axeman and Solar both have two of the emblems. Looks like Valem has one of them, but at some point, it looks to me like they're gonna get a huge chunk of items just being emblems. But then again, the rando be the rando. So
Oh no, Solar, don't leave us.
where'd you go? You became a circle at spinning.
I forgot to ask him how his weather was this morning before we started. I feel
Oh,
so bad.
yeah, it's definitely that time of year where weather is very unpredictable. It's either gonna be okay, we're gonna be set as spring, or yeah, here's a taste of spring, but then back to winter again.
We will see if our restreamer can give us somebody else's music.
Sorry, I'm not gonna sing the music for y'all. I know that you really want me to, but probably saving y'all. Believe me. The Blaster, I'm not sure if I saw a lot of stuff, though he did get another stone that he needed, but it looks like he's going to go right to Rockbird next, which I believe is the other spot that he had opened up. Opened up. Wow. And going for that lair down there a little bit earlier while Valum is taking on those mice. That'll either give you a high five or be defeated real quick there. If those, at that point, any of those escape, it takes a long time for it to get back. So usually a good idea is just to go down the steps and come back up to refresh that spawn. And with
Okay, and I am being told by chat that Solar Stream is actually still live on his side. We'll see about getting a refresh.
and it looks like Axeman just unlocked the ghost ship as well. Got that statue. Going on further through Rockbird, it does have a good amount of items there, but it does have also a lot of layers that lead to other layers. So it is kind of a mix of either, okay, you're going to be like this layer will lead to another layer, they'll lead to another layer, they'll lead to a couple other layers that'll let you get to those. So this game does present a little bit of chaining of those layers before you get to a item or a release.
Which can sometimes be extremely daunting when you're just looking for like a single item or a single NPC.
Absolutely. Just so much tension.
Again, the other thing you kind of learn with playing this randomizer for a little bit for a little while is that, where exactly you can kind of move to avoid taking like damage and Axeman finding the soul blade there in
Woo!
Rockford.
Love that sword. We named the game after it since it's so cool. All right.
All
does have
right, so
does have the disadvantage of high level requirement to swing it, but like I said earlier, it will defeat anything, including parts of the stage, like spears or evil drywall we'll see later on. The spinning plates, but great way to get experience. Wow, what a rock bird.
yes, also having that door to get to our model towns and Marie, if we have those stairs. Very important door there.
Yeah, unlocks the way to 2 dungeons. So, and both of those dungeons, the model towns, are very dense in releases that you can get. So, always a good strat if you can get up there to get those, especially with how random this randomizer is. We're still waiting on Solar Cell. Hopefully, it gets refreshed here soon. Um, and the layer that's Xmas at is fascinating. If you defeat that one and then go do other stuff in that one, come back, a glitch may happen where you step on it and it does not do anything until you actually leave that screen and then come back to step on it. So, and got a lab kitty. But definitely shows that Rockbird rocks right now because wow, Soul Blade and a door there. Very good. Good place to go to.
And I
Oh
am
yeah.
so sorry, everybody, that we are having some tech difficulties. We are trying to reach out to the restreamer currently. as well. So,
And as some people have been doing already, if to you may want to have either a different window with that part open to see where he's at right now, or however else. Um, to keep things going, I'm just trying to see if his tracker is updating as well. Oh, no music. Well, ba 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 ba. All right, you can finish the rest. Oh, and he found the bridge guard too. Wow. The stream could not handle solar today, so doing what we can on that part of it. Laxman is taking on the left part of the coral bed right before the ghost ship. Good place to go to. It also is where the hype cave is underwater, where you could have if you talk to a certain dolphin, that chest or that cave will have 4 chests that you can open up. But could be what you need or a whole bunch of nothing. But and you could get literally nothing because in this game there are I think 2 or 3 chests that have nothing. So where you just say
which
thanks game.
which we have seen a couple of throughout. Give Solar just a second. So, interesting thing, Axeman being there on the ghost ship, as you saw, it is the vanilla boss fight right now with the monsters coming up out of the floor and the little fireballs. If we had the Mermaid Queen, that would all be gone. It also has the vanilla boss music right now, for those that are familiar. And again, another one of those things that if we, as I stated, had the Mermaid Queen, we would not be hearing. I know everybody's not getting sound until solar refreshed, but maybe we will see that later.
Yeah. X-Men going through that very convenient shortcut right there to get back to whatever else there. And okay, getting some checks there while Vellum is looks like he's getting ready to go to Blester and find some of that good stuff that Axeman found as well earlier.
Okay, and Solar now being back and us seeing him there in the world of evil, you see him using that magic to his advantage to take on those little purple demons. Um, I don't remember. Is this one of the areas where you can kill them without the magic or
Yep.
not?
Yep, you can technically one of the other members of the Discord, Absolute Aaron, found you can go through all of this with just using the sword. You do have to do a little bit of movement to make sure that you get that purple monster moving downward so that your sword will actually hit them since the hitboxes when they're moving downward are wider. So then you can kind of get them with that sword swing. But it is a particular one that feels like if you don't know it, then you probably should have the magic. But I don't think that it's the randomizer is going to force you there to get something there that you need without magic. Marie gave us
Mm.
an herb.
And that is one of the few text boxes that, when she first popped up, she kind of said that she had like an herb in her pocket. I know the text box went by fast, so it may not have been quite as noticeable to everybody, but it is one that does change in the randomizer here, and doesn't stay just vanilla text.
Yeah, it seems to be any of the NPCs like that that when they would say something that they had for you, instead of saying they had the stone that they'd have normally, they have that item instead. So they might be like, "Oh, I have this mermaid in my pocket," or something like that. So some pretty funny results.
Axemen, they're moving on to our model towns. Um, Model Town 1 especially has um, monsters that are invisible. And that door that we saw to the chapel sanctuary, however you wish to identify that, is the one that gives us the soul of detection that makes them visible. At this point, I don't believe anybody's found it yet. So, again, you just kind of learn where those monsters are at to kind of save you some time.
And if you're playing the randomizer for the first time and you create your own seed, generally it spits out a spoiler text file as well. So if you're going through the first time and you find yourself stuck, it's okay to take a peek and, after you get to your breaking point, just be like, okay, where was that part? And playing it the first time, I think I was stuck for a couple hours because I didn't know you could go to a specific spot behind a fence to get an item. So it's just, you learn a lot doing this. And there's also a spreadsheet that Amy Lass had mentioned earlier on the Discord that does show where all those secret locations are. So definitely worth the check if you're getting into this. And a shout out to the restreamer for getting everything fixed up. Definitely appreciate it. Got all three runners back up and see them all doing their fun stuff here. It looks like both Solar and Vallum are going towards Rockbird. Great place to go to. And then, so we'll see them getting the Happy Soul Blade soon. Well, Axeman, I think, is the first that we've seen going towards the model town. And he's about to get a couple chests from this one layer, and we'll see what he gets.
As you see those little explosions popping up on the screen, or like the little bar of spikes, like those are the invisible monsters that we were just discussing. Um, and like I said, their movements and stuff are very standard, so it's really easy to find what exactly you need to do to take those on with either magic or your sword fairly easily.
Be wary, they do heavy damage, so if your armor is lacking at that point, be careful.
I think at this point, all of our runners have elemental mail, which is the second best armor in the game, so won't really see them taking a lot of damage from these monsters that they're fighting. However, it can still be a little bit tricky.
And if you want to get into the last area of the game, you pretty much need the soul armor, as in Dazzling Space, once the background shows up, you take a lot of damage quickly. Almost have a machine gun grunt happening at that point. Like, but we'll see if they get what they need kind of going forward. And it looks like, Axeman has both dancing grandmas. So Model Town 1 is definitely a must. Especially with at one point, once you have both dancing grandmas and all three red hot items and a path to get to the king and revive the king, you can talk to him. He'll give you an item, which would normally be Phoenix, but then also wake up Death Toll, so then you can fight him.
Yes, still one of the absolute requirements for us to finish up our seeds today
Yep, and the archipelago does have an option if to change the end game requirement to be finding all 8 emblems, but again, it shows how robust of options the archipelago is. But really fun to explore and check out, and I think it's definitely an active development. Strangleite occasionally gets more and more updates with the tournament coming up. I believe he made like at least 2 or 3, so really neat to see that.
Yeah, normally Tranquilite's pretty good about if we run across something, trying to get it fixed quickly. I will just remind everybody that these seeds today, some of them were rolled prior to that most recent update. So, again, we may see a couple of things that have been fixed. It's just we didn't have time to go back through and re-roll seeds to present to you today. So,
And again, we definitely thank Amy and um, Queen Anne B for getting all those set up and whatnot, just to make sure that we have great seeds to do. Because sometimes you roll a seed or the weekly seed happens, and you just get the trolliest seed ever. And usually your average time would be how many hours, and it just decides to add another half hour to your normal time. So it definitely helps keep things moving forward pretty well, but also keep a good, robust challenge as we go through all these.
okay, there we see Axeman doing the World of Evil beginning part that we missed on Solars while he was having to be refreshed. And it looks like his internet is going to give us another hiccup. We see Vellum moving those cats out of that like little kitchen area of the lab. That did take an item called the A leaf. It is a. I'm pretty sure we've decided it's catnip.
More than likely. On how much my cats yell when we bring that out. I'm pretty sure. What will a reward mouse give them? Ooh, it's a pretty good IV in that town. It can open a path to 2 different checks for you. So, great, great one to find. But the contents of those checks will let us know truly if it was worth it or not.
Exactly. And as that was filling in, it did look like he might have access to one of those two checks, but not necessarily both.
Oh, it did look like Axeman is kind of testing the waters a little bit. He does not have the soul armor, so when he's out exploring that area, when the background appears, you're taking quite a bit of damage. I want to say I saw him get the recovery sword, which is a great way to actually get through it, since you can use the enemies you defeat in order to give you the life to survive there.
Also, you see him taking on those little spinning plates, as Dented mentioned earlier, that are damaged by the soul blade, and you saw him kind of grinding up that level there. Um, but still a little dicey right now, especially not
Yeah.
having that armor.
Oh, he has an herb, thank goodness. Whew! Close one. And thankfully, with that effort, he now has the shortcut open. So now when he wakes up Death Toll, can quickly get in there. But you still need to have that soul armor, otherwise you cannot cast Phoenix.
Exactly. And, there are plenty of NPCs that are being released that you really don't hear us talk about. And while they are very important in like refreshing health and stuff like that, stepping on those layers, you know, not everybody gets the same kind of treatment. So we always have filler characters.
Very much so. Like the mouse that Axeman released, pretty holy mouse, pretty nice, but don't necessarily need that one when you are going through the randomizer since it does not have an item or release for you.
I think he does still give you a heal though.
Hmm.
So if you're in that area, like, and don't have an herb and need a heal and don't, want to stay right there near your model towns because you want to go back, like that's a quick way to do it instead of having to run all the way down to the teleporter to the shrine and the
Very
for
true.
movement.
Axeman got just a big chunk of experience from the toolshop owner, which at this time, not quite as needed, but he's going to get to Underground Castle too. Yeah, NPCs that heal are very nice. There's actually the mermaid that's right next to the entrance to the seabed will heal you all your life as well. So definitely good to have good to have those in your mind as you're going through this if you're running low on health and don't have an herb.
Very, very true. And, knowing like the NPCs that in the vanilla game give you like herbs, they are an item that at specific NPCs, you can get as many as you want from them. And in the randomizer, if that is their item, they do the exact same thing. They just give you as many herbs as you want.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the tool shed owner, she is one of them. There's a mermaid in Act 3 that gives you herbs. Um, the maid at the like little cafe in Act 6, she does too. So it's always a nice thing to know kind of the vanilla stuff versus the randomizer stuff, so that you can sometimes get that little advantage over other runners that may not know.
Yeah, there's just so many different little details. I remember playing and one of the other runners who I haven't seen quite in a while, Chitin, he was the one who helped me know that the magic bell, which normally would let you cast spells without needing to have any gems at all, you can also use it as a strange bottle, which allows you to keep your gems if you run out of life. So lots of different uses, and playing this more and more definitely helps you internalize those utilities.
Axemen, they're finding the harp string along with our dream rod. That's going to open up several checks for NPCs that if you walked up to them before, appear to be sleeping or give you like the ZZZ mark when you talk to them. And those dreams that we're going to go into open up other little things in the zones that you see.
Yeah. And Tranquil Light did chime in. Part of this one, he made sure that all the NPCs only give their reward once. So if you are used to getting that herb each time once, or each being able to go back there, yeah, you might not be able to. But it's still kind of great to know for just any other time you're playing this as well. So it's all good to know these little details. And first time going through, you're not going to have them all internalized. It's just going to be practice more and more. It's going to get better and better.
Tranquilite, thank you for showing up today and putting in input. We always greatly appreciate you.
Yeah. I was just looking at the SDA forums, the Speed Demo Archive forums, in terms of Soul Blazer from like 2011, and I saw him on there too. So it's just fun to see different faces, still taking an active part in this community.
Okay, and Valam showing us a slightly different use for those crystals in each one of the zones. They do offer up to take you back to the main area, instead of just fighting one more layer and getting the route out. He went back and used the crystal.
Yeah. These conveyor belts, sometimes they're fun, but sometimes, wow, trying to step off at them at the right time. But thankfully, the runners seem to all be doing pretty well with it. Um, there was posited the question, can we look forward to this being added to the website anytime soon? That's a question I'm probably not going to answer myself, but it's one to kind of throw at the Axeman and or Tranquilite on that one. So probably more so Axeman on that one. A great question.
Again, kind of still seeing everybody moving that little bit forward, clearing up NPCs that they've opened up. And the other little checks, gonna see Axeman go into the painting.
Yep, and it's always fun if someone else who's not familiar with this game is in the room as you're playing. Like, why do you need a paintbrush at one point? Or whatever else. It's just, well, all the different details that you need is very obscure, but I mean, when you play it a few times, it's kind of common, but just outside looking in, it's like, okay, you need a paintbrush, you need to walk into a painting. Okay. So quite an interesting game in itself to have this randomizer around.
Or the being, shrunk down to go into the model town or into the wall there in the lab. Like it's little obscure things.
Yeah, definitely has a good level of charm to this game.
Axeman there found our singer that was talking about how he needs a harp string, which you saw him get a little bit ago.
And harp string, you give it to a singer in area 6, which lets a guard move out of the way as the guard might be standing on something you need. But thankfully, you can talk to that guard beforehand to find out if they have something you need or not. I want to say that functionality is still on this.
Yes, I do believe I checked that as I was making sure the seeds were completable, and it did tell me something very interesting.
Oh, we got some fun surprises ahead then.
Okay, here we are finding stones again. That we don't need to move on to the world of evil like we normally would, but always nice to find our items because we're always still looking for things.
Oh yeah, leave no stone unturned during this time. Especially with the check, could be either a release or an item. So usually feels like if you miss any of those, that one that you missed is likely the one you need. And Tranquilite did add a little bit more to that answer earlier. There's a few more features he does want to implement to try and get the merge. If he wants to get implemented before he gets that merged in with into the website. So definitely thanking him for his time, since probably a hobby for him more than anything, and it's just so great when such talented people really just put some of their time and passion into making these great things that we're not paying for, we're just enjoying. So just out of just the joy and passion of doing it, big thanks to Tranquilite.
Axeman continuing there through the painting, finding one of the NPCs that the community has affectionately named after Queen Anne's boy, Francis. We'll see what he has to hold here soon, maybe?
And Francis is also very greedy and charges a lot of money, but his mom's there to keep him in check, so.
Let's not give her ideas of how she can, work the community a little bit more there.
Very true. Taking on Solid Arm or Metal Mantis, and he was able to get the quick kill strat, so pretty nice. So it helps when you're level 24 and have the Soul Blade. So, what does the boy have? Oh, Strange Bottle. Vahlemon is finally taking on the Winged Demon, getting that taken care of. Way to get it done, buddy.
Okay, see Axeman getting the power bracelet. I know we have seen the shield bracelet pop up a little bit earlier. Those two bracelets each have a specific job. So the power bracelet increases the damage that your sword is doing when you're wearing it by half or double. I'm horrible at remembering.
Same, but it's substantial.
The shield bracelet, as it implies, increases the defense and makes it so that you're not taking as much damage. There is a third bracelet, depending on which version that you're looking at, it's referred to as the super bracelet or the invulnerability bracelet.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The game tells you at one point that you found where the queen was standing was the invulnerability bracelet. But then you go to check the menu and it says the super bracelet instead. Such a great item to get, especially if you get it early on.
And that particular bracelet actually combines both the power and the shield bracelet together and gives you both of those improvements. There we saw Axeman finding 2 of our souls. One was the detection and one was reality. Reality is for Act 6, which of course at this point we have pretty much completed and will not be going back to.
And the detection one mostly for Act 5, which I want to say he's completed Model Town 1, but not Model Town 2 yet. Since they still need to release that table.
Axeman heading off to Durin at this point in time. As we stated, that Soul of Shield is going to be very important to us once we get in there, and you'll kind of notice what it does.
Yeah, and usually that's skipped in the any percent, and at that point in the game, when you don't have a lot of life, and you have those fireballs falling randomly all over the place, it's a very tense place to be in the game. And also, those fireballs eat up the RNG a little bit and makes the gem drops there totally chaotic and random compared to how it normally is. So, really fun place to be. One even gives us a light too. What a good soul.
Again, seeing Axeman do what he does best in kind of manipulating multiple layers at the same time.
Definitely helps quite a bit, especially when you have to consider the iframes of enemies, waiting for those to wear off before you can damage them, or however else on it. But it's always that factor we said before, like with those scorpions, you gotta make sure that you're defeating all the enemies you're going to defeat of a lair before you step on any of the other ones, because it could be an item or a release that just resets those enemies you just defeated. Lucky Blade.
Also see Axeman taking care of those layers a little bit out of reach with that magic. Definitely something that we like to do.
Yep, big efficiency there, and when you pull it off, it feels really cool. You can see sometimes too, if an enemy's behind you, you can hit them still with your sword, so such a funky sword arc in this game, but fun thing that you kind of grow to appreciate as you play it.
Oh, and Valam taking a death there just as he was getting ready to get that last chest.
I think he might have got it there, but I'm not sure if he got the that last shortcut. He might have. But really cool to see more people using that daring go through with that. Normally the algorithm would not force you to go to that point later on, but with all the chaining in this one compared to the older one, it's almost doesn't not a bad idea compared to before of trying a little bit of that sequence breaking or path breaking to see if you can find something you need sooner than later.
Very, very true there, Luffy, that, this game does have quite a bit of good music in it, which kind of helps keep, the runners engaged when they're running these seeds. As you can tell, this is a longer randomizer, so compared to a lot of them being, an hour and a half or something like that, unless you start combining randomizers together. This one is very, very long.
Especially if you're playing it the first time. I think the first time I played it probably took me 8 or 9 hours. But now the times kind of get closer to about 2 to 3 hours, which kind of the goal if someone's been playing this a lot longer, whatever else on that one. Seems like sub 2 is, if you get that one, it's kind of the big goal, but it's really depends because, I mean, part of it's skill, but the other part is luck. You can either have the best of luck and have what we call a jet seed, you get through it so fast, or you could just have something that leads you along so much that you have to complete the whole game to get it done.
So, Axeman going through, kind of cleaning up these like sleeping layers that we needed the dream rod for. We'll see what we get when we go to the little area he just opened up.
A lot of us call it Hype Cave, or some people, like High Spirits earlier, call it Trash Cave. It all really depends on if you find something great there or find a lot of nothing. All the nature of the fun, Rando.
So you see Axe there taking purposeful damage. He's going to try to get his health down low enough that he can kind of take a
nice
mine just
HP
went blank.
Yeah, nice death warp there, or 0 HP warp, whichever people like to call it. Found Gnome, but you'll notice Gnome is, you can't get to him yet because you need the king to open up the cells in the prison. Wow. The good cave. So far, it's 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Okay, so it's half a good one.
We'll take half today. It's okay.
Oh yeah, I can tell you the amount of times that I had through the normal rando getting there, like 2 nothings, some gems, and a strange bottle or herb. Yep, definitely see him right now, just finishing up that 0 HP warp. But definitely save some time for that movement, even if we have a shortcut nearby.
Again, the other thing that the runners are having to kind of learn and feel out is that, now with those chests being NPC checks, like I said, those NPCs do give you back a little bit of health. And he was really hoping not to see a medical herb show up in any of those chests because that could reset everything.
Yeah. Especially at level 24 when you have so many hit points and trying to get those all drained down. So, and even if like that constant damage that you're taking. Yeah, I mean, even if you're not wearing any armor, it gets tough. Oh, you found Grandpa Logs there. Another path. He might have a full path to the king now. He needs to find the king still, I think.
Yep, I think the only thing he has left to do is find the king. Um, at this point in time, you might notice that there is no music playing. Um, that is a sound glitch that we've been working on. Um, but I don't know if he just reset it with redoing that.
Yeah. It looks like Axeman still needs the soul armor as well. So the game is starting to get to the point where it feels like you need those 2 needles in a big haystack, but you're just trying to find just so much tension. Just, okay, did anyone else find it yet? Oh, I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. Such a thrilling part of the race.
Okay, and Solar's tracker is showing that he did find the little gnome king. I don't remember right offhand where he found that at. So,
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think anyone's checked the pedestal yet, so I'm not sure what's gonna. I don't think we're sure yet what's gonna be held by that one. Considering no one has the soul armor yet, it could be, as some are speculating, held by the Emblem Fairy. Definitely, you can see Axeman multitasking with the light arrows. Another reason why we just love that light arrow spell. It's definitely so much use out of it. It is expensive at 8 gems per cast, but still, it's pretty nice.
so Solar there turning in his red hot items, making those grandmas dance. Um, it's
Oh,
actually, instead of
the screen
having
went away. Oh,
all of that text, yes, see a warp over where Death Toll's lair opens up for us. Okay, and looking back at my notes, the little gnome king is in the lab on that plant on the island, I think.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Either that or it's the plant upstairs, but it's one of the plants in.
Uh, just wild if you're talking to someone who has no familiarity with this. Like, oh yeah, I was playing this game. I had to check the plant to find the phoenix. Like, what? What game are you playing?
Okay, so now Solar is just on the hunt for that soul armor to be able to complete the game. Interesting that both him and Axe kind of doing that left tower with all the lag.
Yeah, leg tower. It's quite serious with the amount that they have there. And each of those horse knights, when they put out those spikes, each spike is a separate sprite. So much lag with all that stuff on screen. Even with the fast ROM hack, it helps a little bit, but there's just some things that you just can't take care of with that without a lot more hacking. Like Rockbird, the left tower does have a lot of layers that you have to defeat in order to get to whatever's buried behind them. So, Axeman is going to Lake Loon. I think he's the first one that we've seen go there. Ooh, Hype Cave. It's the above water one this time.
Yes, the above water one that has 2 items and a crystal, so a total of 3 checks. Normally, you get that one kind of early, so it does seem to be a little more important. But again, you see, we're getting it so late in this one.
Yeah, there's still so many herbs to find. This game has a lot of herbs and chests, so there will be sometimes where it's just like, okay, got an herb, go there, got an herb, go there, got an herb.
Here we see our red wizards. Like I said, they spin and they throw out 3 fireballs at you when
Yeah,
they
those
come
chick.
back on screen.
Yep, and they're just fighting the grape flavored ones now, and they just shoot out just a straight, quick ball of light there. But
Solar showing us that squirrel inside that tree, and he tells you that he's got a medical herb.
yeah, thanks so much for these delicious seeds. Though it is so nice when it tells you about what's there versus you go there, do all that, and find out, yeah, it was just an herb all along.
Yeah, it's just like his buddy there in the tree with him.
Yeah. That's why it's always, if you can get to the emblem fairy early, it's not a bad choice to check what that emblem fairy has if you're in the neighborhood usually. Definitely see Axeman taking on those sorcerers at those distance and everything like that. Helps so much.
Very true. All 3 of our runners today demonstrating a really good job at handling this game. I do know, at least for Valam, he's doing this after a night shift, so sleep may be starting to play a
Oof.
part in his playing, but still doing an amazing job. Like we said, each and every runner has put forth a great effort, and we greatly appreciate all of them taking the time out to do the pre-qualification seed that we had to get here.
Yeah, it's always fun to get as big of a competition as we can here, and it's a great turnout, and yeah, even people sacrificing sleep. Oh, it's just don't require people to do that or anything like that, but sometimes I guess the passion pushes you to. But it seems like all 3 is still doing fantastic, and Valum is putting forth such a great effort on all this one. Just really fascinating to see that. Oh, and the Guardian of the Woods has a dog.
Not really any important dogs in there, you know. The one
No.
important one is already dead when we get here.
Yeah. So his bones are important there. But yeah, it's just you either have one that's kind of hanging around the graveyard to tell you stuff, or a restaurant dog, I think, and a different one. But yeah, nothing really has a check for us. Yeah, wait on X-Man to get that shortcut opened up to get back. There is a little bit in this specific area that is gated by a sleeping mushroom that you can talk to specifically open up another item and a lair that normally you wouldn't be able to reach.
So very true, Z. I did misspeak. We do need the dog for the Woodstein trio in order to do that check. So there is an important dog.
Oh, there we go. Thanks for keeping us on the correct page, y'all. Yeah, the Woodston trio: a dog, a deer, and a squirrel. What a trio!
Hey, that dog and that deer are very, talented because they can turn into squirrels.
Yeah, I spin around like them and I just get sick.
And so here we are, as we've kind of, foreshadowed in that hide and go seek. We are seeking out this last item. I believe everybody's kind of got most of the NPCs that we need to finish out. but it may still be one or two here or there that we still can need to look at.
Yeah, and one dungeon remaining for some of the runners, which we haven't seen anyone go through yet, which is Model Town 2.
There you see Axeman sneaking up on that bird, scaring him into giving us an item.
Okay. I think he almost. I made that mistake last time I raced against him of talking to that Woodson trio and then having that mole reset. So I think he caught himself there a little bit. Or maybe not.
I was going to say, then he turned around and he went in the tree.
Oh, he's going to do it this way. Gotcha.
I think in one of my playthroughs, I got it stuck on the ledge there for that crocodile and then ended up in the hole just above it. So it happens.
Oh, yeah. Looks like he's able to check what's behind this wall, and we'll see what we have. A lot of different items that just kind of lead to another check. So see also how the sleepy tree stump does as well for us.
Axeman here kind of in what we refer to as like the item rush. So he's trying to chain as many checks as he can together, get as many items as quickly together in one time or another. So unfortunately, it's not really paying off for him today, it seems like, though.
Yeah, there's just it really going through this randomizer shows you how many releases there actually is in the game. And there are a lot. So it's just wild all the content the developers put into this, but there's a lot to sift through to get to what you need to get to go mode. Village Chief, another check for World 1.
So the Axeman there down to 2 items actually. He's still got the NPC for the little gnome king and the soul armor that he's looking for. So little bit more to do, it looks like, but we're at 2:15. This is still very, very fast for these seeds. Please don't take us wrong when we're saying that. It's just it gets to a point where it's that hunt and find, and it's hard on the runner to just keep seeing dead check after dead check after dead check.
Yeah, especially when it just feels like, or even just going back and it feels like, oh, did I forget something? Did I not check something? It's just a bit of desperation you definitely feel. But at least the mermaid dance class is complete.
Another one of those great incentives for marathons if you're ever looking for something to do.
Mm-hmm. Pipe cave, pipe. What he has. Oh, Francis.
No, that's Teddy.
Oh, Teddy. Yeah, I totally missed who Francis was. So.
Francis is the boy that we give the pass to.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, he's definitely a Francis. All the best ways. There's Francis. There we go.
All for a snail. He stood in that spot for a snail.
Lots of swinging and missing so far. But that's just how it goes sometimes. Yeah. Sure you check Teddy. One Ivy. Gets to go back.
At least he was still here.
Absolutely. It's so comical when you release in a town something right next to what you're standing next to. Ugh. Fortunately, another NPC with no item. Or check, I should say. Oh, he still needs the crocodile that we're reminded about in the chat for the finding out about that emblem fairy.
Very true. Keeping the suspense alive.
Yeah, the edge of my seat. See what the queen has.
The mermaid tears.
Yeah. Normally it turns the lava and durian to harmless stone, but you already got through it, so not much use right now. But he is going back to Leo's lab, so you might be able to find some of the things that he missed earlier that Solar had found.
Oh, he's still missing a cat to be able to get to that
Oh, and he has
plant
Milestone too.
out there on the island.
Yeah. I don't recall if he went through Model Town too.
I think he just released it not too long ago, so I don't think we've seen anybody do Model Town 2.
Yeah. So far, we have some people thinking that the Emblem Fairy has what he needs, while the town has something he needs possibly too, so we'll see what goes. Well, at least he got a magic flare to kind of make things a little more variety for his spells, I guess.
Okay, here we go. New checks into Model Town 2, and as you can see now that he has the Soul of Detection, those monsters that were invisible on other screens, you see are visible and actually are a lot bigger than you thought they were.
Oops, soul armor right there.
So now we're just trying to find that Gnome King for him.
Yeah, Solar had found, but not him. So it could still be anyone's game at this point still.
Very, very true. Solar could go to Model Town to get that soul armor, and he would be on the boss fight. Where Axe is still looking for that NPC, and we'll see if he finds it sooner or later.
And X-Men has completed the cutscene basically for Dr. Leo. You need Dr. Leo and both of those guards in order to get the queen to move at one point from its result, and he also gives you an item, so it's a pretty useful one to get to, but if he kind of takes the right decisions here, he may not have to do that.
I'm sorry, Z, that you're feeling betrayed that that fairy didn't have the item you were thinking it did.
Yeah.
But if it makes you feel better, the deer for that was also here too.
Yeah, both in an important place. I wonder if anyone will be able to check that one for us. Then again, who knows? Yeah, no idea what that emblem fairy has, so. I always thought playing this back then, ooh, it's like the small towns like Gulliver's Travels. Just, I'm the big giant here, ha ha ha. But wow, do those enemies hit hard if you don't have any armor or proper equipment for there.
Very true. And I mean, it could be kind of that Gulliver's Travel, mentality, and, but it just seems like all of the enemies are about the same size as your character, so.
Yeah. Like those knights are just as tall as those buildings over there. How do they even get in there? Nice 0 HP warp there. Solar's checking out area 2 and Hype Cave for Valum. Okay, Axeman's checking different places. This is where you really get to that point where you're starting to question yourself, like, what am I missing? What little detail did I not get? So it is definitely, especially during race condition, a very tough place to be.
Trying to go back through my notes really quick and see if I can remember where that cat is at.
I do not recall if he's done dancing. Oh wait, no, he doesn't have the king yet, so he can't do dancing grandmas. So, oh, but he's still able to get to the sleeping mushroom. Nice. Meanwhile, still, ooh, that was nice. Valum is now going through there, and Solar getting checks in Act 1. All
Okay,
right.
I know we were there a while ago, but it looks like Axeman missed a layer on the mountain.
Ooh. Oh, was it that one that is on the ice patch?
I don't remember 100%. I just know that it is one on the mountain.
Huh. Little details really get you on this one. You have a lot of things that could be A leads you to B, leads you to C, leads you to D, and so on, until finally gets you what you need.
And if you feel that you've completed everything up on Soul Mountain, especially, you really like last location going back to check that. So this is going to be a nail biter.
Yeah. It's definitely the equalizer here for sure. And he's checking the releases he just got, and that's part of it too. You get these new releases, these checks that you find that you can go to, and it further buries down the one that you missed deeper into memory. So it gets really tricky just to remember where you need to go for that final one if you somehow oversaw or your oversight helped you miss something you didn't see before. So might be a hundo blazer for him at this point.
And again, I really wish I remembered which layer it was, because looking at Valum's tracker, he also is missing the Gnome King, but has done most of the mountain. So trying to just remember where it's at.
I have a feeling it's, I don't know. I usually am very good at missing the little chest right at the top of the mountain that you need to have the mushroom shoes to get to. That layer, I'm sorry. That one I've had many times, more than I would like to say, that had something I really needed at some point. Very easy to miss if you have the kind of get things as you need, and you're like, oh, I'm going to move right to the next part, and then all that other layer is just like, hey, what about me?
Axeman opening up Lisa's check there off of Dr. Leo, and as you see, it was in the middle of that cutscene, and it did stop it. So this could be Axeman getting a little bit of disappointment and that cutscene did not finish. So this check he's going for is not going to be available. And there he's doing the what?
Yeah.
I think he's trying to hold the button to get his movement and forgetting which direction. He was trying to get off of that layer.
Yeah. So many times the layer, that little portal that you step onto or hub, so many times have actually held the wrong direction. Just go right back in, and it's like, oh my gosh. Thanks, game.
And so that spot right there, that has been patched since this seed was generated, which is probably why he's even more confused. And I'm sure he's going to bring it to my attention when he comes in the booth with us after the race and be like, I thought this was passion. I'm just going to have to kindly remind him, be like, some of these were rolled like a week ago and we found it in testing.
Yeah. Looked like that cutscene did complete there. Not sure if that's what happened before or if it somehow bugged, but hopefully he gets what he needs to keep moving forward.
So when he initially did that cutscene, when he got to the part where Dr. Leo gave him his reward, it was the NPC Lisa. So it did
Oh,
not finish the cutscene, which is why I did bring it to Tranquilite's attention
sure.
when it was found. But like I said, trying to make sure that we had everything done in time for the tournaments, we just weren't, and I wasn't thinking he was going to fix that like right away, and he did. Totally
Right.
appreciate getting on it.
Yeah. Well, doesn't hurt to have a little bit of rough edge at times. But we are going to be able to see what the Emblem Fairy has. Notice. Super bracelet. Okay, that's a good item, but not what he needs. And chat brings up the Vessel Fairies were just spirits in the manual, and the Japanese one and the North American one. So, yeah, either way it goes, I think is all good. But it's very interesting to know just the spirits. So, thank you very much, chat, for that info.
Taxman checking out Lisa's dream with that dream rod, seeing if it's holding what he needs. Solar getting Model Town 2, which we know is very important.
Mm-hmm.
We wake her
Not,
up and she yells at us.
yeah, it's not really the nicest thing, but then again, in a town full of houses without doors, you'd think they'd be acclimated to someone waking them up like that, but probably still a shock.
But
Oh, and
again,
death.
for
Sorry, go ahead.
I said, and for those that are new to this, that is also the start of the love story that is Soul Blazer of Blazer and Lisa.
Yep, a very well um, documented and developed relationship. That okay, yeah, it's pretty shallow, but no, that's okay. Still adds some fun stuff to the game. And Lisa is also Dr. Leo's daughter. Who Dr. Leo is the one who summoned Death Toll because the king told him to in order to get a lot of gold with Death Toll. But as we found out from Marie, uh, Death Toll, evil always keeps its promises, and it was about a soul for gold, and he didn't realize that it also included his own. So, yeah, not the best decision there, King Magrid. Axeman did not find what he's looking for, so the search continues.
Okay, and here we have Valam going through the wall to this plant, and we'll be able to verify if this is the one that we need, and it is.
Wow, where is that cat? You said,
So,
I think, before on the Mountain of Souls, so
It's
Oh,
it's before Lane Knoll, so it might be the layer on the ice, and we just missed Axeman not stepping on it. I,
yeah,
I kind of want to say that's happened to him before in the past during a tournament.
yeah. It's definitely happened to me during a race or two. Definitely the point after at the end, you're like, yep, that was a Fundo Blazer or Hundo Blazer, but
And you can see the frustration that Axeman is going through checking with every NPC again.
yes. And us being like, no, 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 go back to there, please. Meanwhile, both the other runners are catching up, and it is such a huge tension when you have your eye, as each of the runners is using Racetime GG, that has a little pop up that you can see still when people are going. But you're like, oh, it's been already 2.5 hours. Someone's got to be fighting death toll soon already. So it's just such a tough emotion to have to battle as you're going through trying to find whatever you're missing.
And of course, those of us as viewers and commentators knowing what exactly that person is missing at this point, and you see them kind of like peek into it and then walk away from it.
Yeah. Okay, is he gonna go for it? Is he gonna go for it? Oh, okay. And I'm laughing with him right now because a lot of us have been there, as Amy Lassa said, because it is such a rough feeling. Oh, I forgot he didn't get this item yet.
But
Yep,
there's
Fundo
only the
Hundo.
one angelfish in the whole thing that gives us anything. So he already knew that was going to be dead.
Yeah. I lovingly call that helper fish the magma fish. But there's just that's the one cool thing about this with those new checks. We're just gonna come up with new names for all this stuff, and it's just such a blast.
Okay, and as you can see on the Lam stream, him having the Soul Blade, the Soul Armor, Phoenix, and level 24, he's able to just use that Phoenix to take out enemies really, really quickly.
It is a fantastic spell. It's the only one that can damage bosses. Other spells will just get that tinging noise indicating you just no, not gonna work on them. It only costs 2 gems to cast. However, when you swing your sword, it will cast that, so something to be mindful of. And it can also introduce leg too if you're in a very busy part of the game.
And so, as we all know, at this point in time, Balam is in go mode. So, we will see how much longer it takes for
Wow.
him to get back to taking on that final fight.
Yeah, you weren't kidding. This is definitely a nail biter. Woof. Solar Cell is not too far behind. He is getting through, getting those checks taken care of. I mean, all the while, Axeman is just doing what he can just to try to figure out what he is missing. Oh, he's getting to that. Oh, is he going to go there? Is he going to go there?
Is he going to take the dive to just check and see if he may have accidentally left something up there?
Oh, what will Axeman do? What will Axeman do? Okay, maybe not. Oh, we've all, like chat says, yeah, we've definitely been there. Meanwhile, as he is checking that, we have Valum moving on towards go mode, ready to take on and... Or does he have go mode? Or is he missing... Does he have the full path to the king?
Oh, he might. Well, he might be missing the one grandpa. Now that I think about it, so he's still on the hunt. So it's still totally anybody's game.
Oh my gosh, such a close one, and what a way to start this tournament with such a wild match here. And geez, I gotta go start doing this soon myself. So, seeing how good these seeds are. But then again, y'all are able to watch it too. So, okay, thinking about it. Okay, going back. Meanwhile, Valum is going through checks and Model Town 2 for Solar. So, oh wow, this is probably one of the tightest races I have seen.
Solar getting his soul armor there. Let's see, does he just warp on out of here?
Looks like it. He might have go mode.
He is definitely in go mode, everybody. So here we go, off to our final fight. Hopefully, we'll see once he gets back to the teleport shrine.
Yeah, I definitely remember him doing the dancing grandmas, which I didn't do any singing or dancing to because that's Queenie's job. But
And it doesn't give us the full like banner of that it is dancing grandmas like it does in our traditional randomizer.
yeah, or it just shouts at you, "Dancing grandmas!"
Is he taking the long way to get to the final fight?
I don't think he opened up the shortcut up top. 'Cause I don't think he went
Yeah,
through to that
he
last
might have
part.
died.
Meanwhile, we have Axeman still trying to get his bearings straight, and it's just such a randomizer that not only are you fighting the game, it's also yourself at some of these points.
Welcome in, Leho. Nice of you to stop by.
Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, Solar is now fighting good old Death Toll. The two forms there.
The hope is that once we get the two kind of merged together, that, you know, the quality of life changes that we've made will, in the traditional rando, will come over to this.
Absolutely. This makes me think of different rando Final Fantasy for free enterprise, where if you find the Twin Harp, every time you find it is a different song playing from possibly a different game. So it's, who knows, all the features that can be put into this. It's almost like a canvas, but it's, again, just all depends on the passion of the people, or if more people want to join in on getting more put into it. So such an exciting time, for sure.
Okay, and so just to recap kind of what Solar is doing in this fight, he has to first take down those blue fire pillars to get Death Toll to kind of open his third eye there on his head, which then allows for damage. But of course, we are battling lag with these crystals shooting lasers and the fireballs that Death Toll is shooting from his mouth. And the only thing, like we said, that can damage him is Phoenix, and it takes like 60.
Yeah, it's technically, if it's in the vanilla run with with the super bracelet, you can defeat Death Toll in 12 cycles, but it's just also managing that lag where when you have both the fireballs and those lasers and Phoenix out, it really brings things to a crawl. And there we go.
And
Solar
there we
cell.
have it. Official finish time for Solar Cell of 2:42:31. GG Solar.
Yeah. What a race. And we still have the other two runners so quick or so much, so close to each other. There we go. I can speak today. Just to remind anyone if they're just stepping into this one here, Axeman just needs one more item. We're hoping he goes to the place he needs to get it, which we know is to be Area 4 up top. And Valum is at a fantastic pace going through, trying to find what else he needs to complete this. So, very, very close race.
And so I think he's still looking for Grandpa Logs, which was in the other model town. Hold on, I'm trying to look and see.
I'm so glad he kept track of that. uh, There's one thing to note with these automatic trackers, whatever else you use, they do help you keep track of certain things you found, but it doesn't keep track of anything or everything, including if you missed a layer in a certain spot. But one thing that's pretty valuable sometimes is going into an area and just pressing the start button, because then it'll say monster layers remaining. So we did see Axeman do that really quick with a blink as he got into that place. So
Okay, so Valam is looking for Grandpa Logs, which is on the singer in the concert hall under that soldier. So he
ah,
is a harp string away.
wow.
Solar, are you gonna come join us in the booth?
And we want to talk to you. Oh, it's on his way. There we go.
No, I think Solar was totally thinking he wasn't gonna win a race, and so he was going to be done after this, and now he gets to do tomorrow.
I think Axeman he's using the mermaid tears while trying to think of what else he's missed.
Welcome in, Solar. GG's.
Hello, hello.
Yeah,
My
congrats, buddy.
goodness. That was way more intense than the prequel seed. Gotta go to here to go to here to go to here to go to here to get that.
And just think, you get to do it all again tomorrow now.
Oh my goodness. Man. So from what I heard before I left the other stream, we're looking for the singer, but what does Axeman need?
Axeman needs the Gnome King.
Oh, okay, okay.
Do you remember exactly which layer it was on the top of the mountain?
King. Oh. I do not.
I don't blame you because sometimes getting through one of these, your brain's just like, okay, yeah, I feel like I ran a marathon with my brain just now.
Solar, it sounds like chat says you need to talk just a little louder for us.
A little louder, that's no problem. Hello, chat.
So, I know you said that it was a little tougher than the prequel, but overall, how else did you feel about it?
I mean, I loved it. I didn't spend 15, 20 minutes dying in the world of evil like I did for the prequel seed. And I kind of went against my gut, because after doing the prequel, I told myself, don't go grind super late game just to get a few levels, because with how slow enemies appear in the vanilla layers, it's not going to make that much of a difference. But I don't know, let me swing my sword a little bit sooner. But I think the only good thing I felt I did was to get the Soul of Magician relatively early.
Yeah, what a placement for it.
Yeah, that was gross.
Just remember, I didn't roll the seed.
Who rolled this seed? Was this Francis?
I'm not starting a fight.
Oh my goodness. No, I will tell you what the most heartbreaking thing was of this was, okay, I'm looking for the soul armor. And then I got into World 3 and I checked behind the dolphin and the one mermaid and I see soul of, and then soul of for those two, and I was like, ah.
Oh.
You're killing me.
Yeah, that was a little mean.
And I really hope that Queenie doesn't come back and watch the security cam footage, because about 2/3 the way through I went, oh no, I did it again. And I had to rush back to the world of evil to check the soul armor chest. I completely forgot about that.
Oh, it's just wild. Just all those, it's like the little detail you missed, that's the one that gets you. And I guess going through this compared to the previous randomizer, to feel like there was more of that compared to before.
Yeah, this, I don't know, it's been so long since last year for the previous version of the randomizer. This one, there's just, like, you try to read into it. Like, you could tell at the end there were a couple places you had to go to that opened up another place, and it just kind of followed a chain like that. And I'm worried tomorrow that I'm going to try to do that again. It's not going to pay off, but I don't know. It's new. It's new. And I'm getting used to this still.
Okay, so Axeman making his way back up the mountain.
Yeah, I knew it. Oh, did he get that stuff up top, though?
Is that go mode for vahlemon?
Oh, no. Not again.
Was he... No! Oh.
He saw there were 2 layers still up there.
Oh, man, Axeman, you're killing me.
But yes, seeing where Valam is at, he is definitely in go mode, getting ready to give us our dancing grandmas and go take on our final fight.
For the dancing grandmas, how are you? I'm having fun, and I hope you are too. Okay, I'm not as good as Queenie. Sorry, I tried.
I see my fellow grandma in chat. Hey, Pale.
Yeah, it's a good video for anyone to check if they want for the... Yeah.
That is a traumatizing video. Okay. I mean, if Axeman's missing that layer, then that makes more sense to me. I think the expectation was definitely for Axeman to win this one.
Wow.
But yeah, that's a shame. Is there, how'd you... These were all vetted, right, Avalas? Maybe stepped away.
Yeah, they... If I recall correctly, she did vet them while Queenie rolled them, so...
Okay. Well, I just wanted to see if she had any, like, how she felt about the seed, and if she had any insight as to what someone should be doing first. Like, I think the play is to always go through the very first dungeon, regardless of what swords you get, and then from there just kind of figure stuff out. But
Yeah.
this, like I said, this is new to me, so I'm not too sure about the open world, what logic dictates, and
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have any scaling yet, so the tough part with it is it's almost. I've been kind of going myself 1, then 2, then 3 a little bit, but it really depends on that starting sword you get in terms of how daring you really want to go too, because you might have that spirit sword right away to go to area 6, but then you have to take quite a bit to defeat any of those enemies, so
yeah.
a lot
And
of things to weigh.
this is the second time that it's looked like progression has been World 1 and then World 2. And I keep
Yeah.
skipping World 2. I skipped going into the Fire Temple because I didn't want to double dip if I could help it, but I'm punished again for that. We got the Spirit Sword and Z Sword in Fire Temple.
Yeah, I'll definitely hear you, because before you just wait until you get to some of those areas before you got the right sword for it, but now it seems a lot less of that.
So I'll probably do that tomorrow. I'll probably go all the way up through Fire Temple.
Hear that, everybody? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just going to go right away to World 6, even before I get anything, and that'll get me the win. Wink, wink.
Listen, I'll take 3 deaths, or 2 or 3 deaths in World 6 right at the start. That's fine.
Okay, so Solar, yes, to answer your questions, the seed was vetted. Personal feelings are that we did it in about the same amount of time, so I don't feel quite as bad about how I routed it compared to the way everybody else routed it. And it's just heartbreaking to see Axe running around like this right now.
What did you tend to do, Amalas? Did you tend to keep going through each open area that would open up, or did you kind of do what I did, and as soon as you get done a dungeon, go check the open checks towards the end?
So I am definitely not a very aggressive player, so I kind of went through like just kind of what was open in each world as far as it would let me go, and then loop back when I kind of ran out of everything.
Okay. Because some of what I did right at the end was because nobody had finished yet. So when I went into, what's the right side? Is it Lane-Ol in Act 4?
Loon.
Loon?
Yeah.
Okay, I went into there, and the first chest was the Ivy for the cave in Act 1, and I left immediately because I thought, man, nobody's done yet, so maybe I need to break out and stop doing what everybody else is doing if we're just following some chain, but none of that paid off.
Well, surprisingly, all 3 of you took very different paths to get to where you're at.
Yeah.
And with that, Valam is done with a official time of 2:55:27.
How was commentary? Everything goes smoothly?
I think it went pretty well. Chat would be the ultimate dictator as to how well we did at our job.
What do you think, chat? Great commentary?
Well, no news is good news.
What?
I think we have delay, so we got to give it a little more.
Read the
we
room,
got GG
Solar.
there.
Don't ask these questions.
Actually, your awesomeness was so big, Solar, when you're playing that it actually caused us to need the restreamer to refresh your stream a couple times. So.
Oh my goodness. This is the first time I ever streamed today, so of course I had to have 2 internet disconnects. Really fun to deal with closing and bringing OBS back open while you're trying to run.
Ugh. Axeman is slowly making his way again.
You might want to let vahlemon know. I didn't realize this either. This is my first time in the Discord. You have to click on the broadcast waiting room channel, agree to the permissions, and then join it.
Yeah.
I'm currently checking to see if he's gonna come and join us since he is getting off of a work shift and might be extremely tired, and he is maybe not quite a fluent English speaker, because I do know that he is from Quebec. Yeah, so.
Yet another individual I have an important question to ask.
If we want to find out what that question is, you better get here, I guess.
No, I'll behave myself today. Letting everything run smoothly from us.
Well, I risked singing, so things should hopefully still be okay.
Oh no, Axeman, no.
Oh, you're getting me, buddy.
Okay, so with that, Axeman has taken the forfeit.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Yeah, he has forfeited. We'll see if he comes to find out exactly what he missed or not.
Oh, hey.
Hey, vahlemon.
GG?
Hello.
Well, so what did I miss?
You missed the layer on the ice, apparently.
Really? Again?
Yeah. Yep.
And you went back
Huh.
up there and you opened it up and it said 2 layers on the very top, and then you continued on and we were like, no!
Oh. Huh.
Yeah.
Wait, so was it in like the entrance to lane, like the top of the mountain?
Yeah, the one
the
that you
top
need
of
the
the
mushroom
mountain.
shoes for.
Oh no, that's the same one I missed in the first Earth% tournament.
GG's Valam, welcome in. Sorry that we've kind of not spoken to you directly.
And thanks so much. I heard it's pretty much you came off of a late shift for this, so thank you so much for jumping in. And getting a great race in there.
Actually, can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you.
Oh, I can.
Oh,
There we
okay.
go.
So yeah, I had the microphone muted apparently. But yeah, what a race. I mean, honestly, I skipped the fire shrine early, and when I went back later and saw that both Spirit Sword and Zenitsu Sword were there, I was like, okay, might as well forfeit right now. But then it evolved that everything seemed to be blocked by something else at some point, so I was like, well, didn't go too bad, and yeah, was after a 12-hour shift, so I'll take the second place.
Don't feel too bad, because I did the same thing, and when I hit that fire shrine, I was like, oh no.
So, yeah.
Okay, that was it. Oh man.
Oh no, you just went and checked Axeman.
So, would you guys like to know a little piece of information?
Sure.
So, from the pre-qual seed, both Axeman and Valam were faster than you, Solar.
I have no doubt in my mind that that's true.
Wow.
And so this race right here had 2 of our top 3 runners. And now you are moving on to the finale, Solar.
Yeah, you definitely show that Secret of Evermore and Illusion of Gaia is the perfect way to prep for this race. So.
Oh, there's all kinds of correlation there. Sure.
Oh, yeah.
The All right, so
I
have
will
this-
say your lovely wife dragging you into this tournament every year is a great representation of your skill.
Speaking
It's a
of,
low
I need to
spectrum.
root extra hard for her next match. Or wait, did she switch with?
She is in the third race
Ah, she
now,
did
so
switch,
you
okay.
are not going to be present for most of her race.
Ah, right. I'll
You
still
have to watch
one.
mine. Sorry.
Nah, that's okay. I'll make do with that. No, but good luck to all the other runners today. This, I think this could definitely show you. Don't count yourself out, because anything can happen. That was so frantic at the end, going, why has nobody finished yet?
I'm very sorry,
Yeah.
Axeman, for your frantic chase. You must have been going at least 30 minutes just trying to find where things were.
Yeah, I mean, I had the same thought. Why has no one finished? And I kept searching. I mean, yeah. And then I got that sinking feeling. Oh, I missed something. Oh.
Yeah. I've definitely
Okay.
been there.
All right, gentlemen, real quick, is there anything anybody wants to shout out to the viewers, how they felt about the seed, if they have not already? We are kind of pushing our time on this race just a little bit, so any last words?
Thank you for having us, and thank you, commentators, for dedicating your time to go through these seeds with us.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Amalas,
thanks for
for
having us.
betting them.
It's been fun.
Yes, thanks to all the crew and all participants as well. And I mean, for first tournament experience, I mean, 10 out of 10, do recommend.
Glad you joined us. It's always great to see new faces, and y'all three, what a great way to start this tournament. Y'all did fantastic.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, Dented, I know you're going to want to run and try to get a little bit of a stretch break in
I suppose.
before your race in about a half hour.
Oh yeah, I suppose. Ugh, gotta get this old body ready and stuff. The stretches and calisthenics, but I'll be ready.
And so I am actually going to be passing commentary off to the Axeman and Queen Anne B for the second race. So Axe, I hope you have fun.
I'm sure I will.
I'll duck out then. See y'all. Thank you so much.
Again, if anybody is interested, the links to the Discord have been posted in chat. We appreciate having anybody and everybody, whether you're just learning or experienced runner, come out and try out the randomizer. Again, we have the traditional randomizer, we have bingo, and of course we have access to the archipelago ability to create seats. So feel free to try it out. Feel free to ask questions. And I will see everybody back for the third race at 5 p.m. Eastern, where I will be commentating again.